Welcome everyone to another week of Investors Gallery. My name is Presley and I'm with Dimensional Capital Partners here in Houston. We are a multifamily investment and development firm. And for those who are new, we are in the office that I built, and on the other side of the camera is the art gallery, which is why I named it Investors Gallery. And the goal of this podcast is to give access to all types of peoples and individuals and have them give them a vehicle to be able to meet people that they would not normally be able to meet, like Corey. So thanks for joining us, Corey. I appreciate it. I've been hearing a lot of great things about you. Obviously, you've been doing this for a while. So tell us about yourself, what you do specifically, and how you got into it.
Yeah, show. Like I said, sorry, I've been having some issues with my internet problems. So I've been investing in real estate for about. I got started while I was in the Navy. Up back when I was stationed in Washington. Like a lot of people in the military, where I purchased our home and then I got stationed elsewhere in the country, and we decided to go a rental, and that was kind of the start of my real estate investment. I didn't really get full-time real estate until later on, when I basically moved to Virginia, bought another house for us to live in. A month later, we closed on our first true investment home. Excuse me. Started rolling from there. So in the first couple of years of investing on my own personal portfolio from 0 to 60 doors. And then in the last 3 syndications and creating Fairwinds Capital Investments, we've increased that from 60 to over.
Say that again. 60 to what? How many doors?
Doors.
Okay. What created that spark in real estate from the beginning when you first started, I guess, with your first house?
Yeah, so my parents had like a couple of rentals growing up, but that, I don't know if that necessarily put a spark in me per se. Back in my enlisted days, instructor at a power plant down in South Carolina. One of our master chiefs came up to me, and as we were doing our orientation, he talked about real estate. He was able to become a millionaire by the time he was 40, and to me more so than seeing the like 2 single families that my parents had. And so I wasn't really able to do much about it, but I do remember that moment. And even when I got my commission, one of my first ships as an officer, I remember my captain saying, "Hey, what do you 5 to 10 years?" And I was like, investing in real estate. And so that fire just, it got started, and it started to grow. And then from there, podcasts and books and blogs, and then eventually turned that in purchasing properties.
And did I recorrect? You started in 2015?
My first one was our primary residence that we turned into a rental, and that was in 2012.
Okay.
So I got team ahead in 2015. That's
okay. What would you say your most influential form of education was? Podcasts or mentorships or what?
I would have to say reading books. So I mean, I would bring a bunch of books with me when I went on deployment, just read through them. I probably don't read as many books now. If I'm doing something, but I definitely have listened to a lot of podcasts over the years. Again, these days, once you're kind of building that portfolio, you're kind of it. And so a lot of times some of that stuff that you did in the beginning kind of gets pushed to the side until you kind of growth. Obviously, there's processes that you're putting in place. And so to me, I probably focus more on actual business and creating those processes as opposed to more knowledge stuff. When I do read books, I think it's kind of more business based now than necessarily
Say that one more time. More business based than what?
the
Okay. So you started with basically house hacking. What was the first process with the first multifamily? Was it kind of a because you were in the space and you tripped over the deal, or tell us about that first one. The first one was always a doozy.
yes. I put a bunch of single families under my belt before I commercial, greater than 5 unit commercial multifamily. So the first one that's in my own personal portfolio, it was an 8 Smith, Virginia. I was able to get it off market through connections with our property manager, and they had just actually taken over the property, and the ownership group anymore. It was underperforming at the time. It needed some renovation shape, and they just kind of wanted to offload it. And so they properties and they brought it to me, did a tour, got it under contract. Been performing pretty great for me ever since. So I still do on that one.
That's cool. What was there anything particularly difficult being your first one, or did it run oddly smooth?
I'm sorry, I think I cut out there, but
The first one, did it seem to run pretty smooth, or did you have some odd challenges being the first multifamily property?
yeah, it wasn't overly difficult. I mean, from that point of single family and even duplexes under my belt, really an extension from that. I mean, my portfolio, I think I was over the concept of a multifamily smaller multifamily property wasn't really that foreign to me because it's all under one spread across 10 11 properties that I had at that point.
That's amazing. Has it been mostly, I know Fair Winds, you guys have a team, but when was it not just you? When did you start acquiring partners?
I think it was 2019. It was actually with some folks that so we syndicated a smaller portfolio deal here in Virginia. And I talked to people quite a bit about this because there's a point that even if you're the Burr method, you just kind of run out of your own capital because it all gets trapped as equity.
Yeah.
And so there's a point where you either just accept that you are going to have to wait property, or you go out and you seek partners. And for most people who are in real estate, properties under your belt, like it's an addiction. Like you can't necessarily for a couple of years until you're able to free up equity.
Yeah.
And so really was, seek out partnerships that would help me then move on and close my next deal. What led me into seeking out partners and doing bigger deals.
I know you probably said this. We're gonna work through these internet pauses. Where are most of your deals situated now, or are they kind of in different areas?
Yeah. So we got started mainly here in Virginia. So we have here in the Hampton Roads area. We also have properties in Houston. We actually now just because it's larger multifamily properties. We group down in Jacksonville, Florida, and then we have a small, more unique property.
Okay. Do you think you guys are going to move to a different asset class? And the reason I ask, the environment's weird. Multifamily prices are not coming down really at all, but to some people as much as we would like them to. or as fast? Are you guys going to stay in that asset class, or what are your thoughts on that? Or maybe diversifying?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those. There's some internal questions that we're a partnership group right now. One of the things that we're looking at is a unique property up in Annapolis, Maryland. That is going to actually be a historic inn conversion
Mm,
to a historic inn. We really like that idea because we do have short-term portfolio when it makes sense, and so we like that kind of like hospitality component. Being at a historic inn down near Jacksonville, Florida, and we have some partnerships with groups that know how to deal with hospitality, and so we've already made some partnership connections there. So that's a good partnership with those sort of asset classes.
mhm.
Evaluating certain things. We like the idea of mobile home parks and self with that yet. So if we do find a deal, we'll be looking to partner with someone who to kind of really help us kind of move into a different asset class. We don't want to just kind of jump in with both feet and help us along that process. Some other things that we're looking at doing is partnering, have significant experience in development, stages of development. It may not be from straight ground all the way to a new building. There's a couple different processes where you can come in, create that value, and pass it over. Then may go from the dirt to the complete building. So those are some we're actually looking at as possibilities as well.
Do you guys mostly do like value add projects, or and you might have answered this, but value add, or do you do any kind of developments as well?
Yeah, for most part, we are looking at value add. Deals have had a value add component to it. Basically, every syndication had value add to it.
Yeah, looking at the development side, because we're kind of doing both. We're more so set on the development side because deals right now, I guess overall, the theme and the trend is you'll look at a couple hundred deals or 100 deals to find one. But that gets old. And then when you find the one and you're bidding, and they do highest and final and last, and it's the second highest and final, and
Yeah.
So looking at development numbers versus looking at historical data, you kind of have something to go off of. It's a little bit easier. We were actually talking about that today with a partner and an investor. Of We were looking at an asset class which is new to us, and it's like we have zero data. So yeah, I definitely understand why you guys stay in the value add stabilized space. How many properties do you have in Texas?
We have 3 that we have closed on. We have 1 that we're under contract, and some stuff that's come up during due diligence that may call that into question. So
What's your
3,
thoughts about the market here in good old Texas?
yeah. One actually going to be a hotel to multifamily conversion. We are partnering with one of the development groups that I mentioned to actually convert those over to more of efficiency living multifamily.
Yeah, that's do you find those a little bit more difficult to do, like because of the challenges of the hotels conversion, I guess, as a whole?
So that's why we kind of partnered with someone, because we don't have as much experience at hotel to multifamily conversion. So we're partnering. They have done several projects, not only in Texas, but across the country. And so when to kind of move into a different area, we want to partner with people that have that background. So again, you're not in a situation where it's a blind leading the blind. They've done it, and they've done it multiple times,
Yeah.
and it's a good partnership fit.
Yeah, they have a good recipe, and They
Yeah,
stick with what they know and they keep the ball moving.
absolutely.
So in your partnership, I guess when you started, you wore all the hats because there was only one head to behold.
Yeah,
What hat do you wear now?
is more with the asset management stuff with some kind of like operations in there to kind of make ones, progressing down the same path as what the team needs.
Hmm, that's amazing. How many people are on your team total?
There's 4 total, and then days that help us out.
Okay, so you guys got a good team. How long have you been together? The current team. I don't know if there's been an iteration, but since you guys formed, how long have you been together?
Twins team, we've been together for over 2 years, but that were initially part of the co-founders, and then we brought one of our partners in, Justpreet. Like, he joined me maybe not quite a year after we formed.
Okay, so pretty fresh. Pretty
Yeah,
fresh.
yeah, that was
Um,
he joined kind of in the summer.
what would you say brought on that need for an additional person?
So he has experience in the lending realm. He has experience with fund management and kind of some of the things that we saw ourselves doing down the road. We felt like his experience would play well to that. And we all got along together, and he had actually invested into one of our first Fair Winds deals, and grew. So he wasn't initially part of Fair Winds, but he of that deal, and like I said, it was a good fit for the whole knowledge that we felt like we were lacking. And
He was the missing part of the puzzle. So you guys have properties all over the United States, and you partner with people who know that market and obviously know how to deal with that asset. But how do you deal with the communication and not actually being able to have consistent boots on the ground? Because I'm sure you go out there from time to time to the properties that are not near you. But how do you guys deal with not being in the immediate area and deal with another an extension or partnership with the other group?
yeah, so for example, one of our properties in Houston, while we're still at our general contractor, they had an on-site guy that we basis. I was flying out to Houston on a say, if you look at the team in general, from the time that we haven't a year yet, and combined, we've probably been out there in team probably 12 to 15 times in less than a year. So I mean, I probably am on the phone with every other day. So those are a lot of things that we do to kind of make sure we're and understand what's going on at the property. One of our other GP members he's not part of Fair Winds, but we've worked with him on several deals, and he's actually gone toward the property and lets us know, hey, I saw this, or the address, or how it is. We've worked with him enough that he knows what to provide good feedback to us if we're not on site when he's out there. So
Yeah, that's cool. See how many people we have for questions and stuff.
if I knew you were glass
Say that again.
said if I knew you were gonna have a glass of wine, I would have poured myself one. So.
No, this is buy.
Oh.
I don't drink, but I'm also a morning person, which means I'm not a night person.
No, I gotcha.
So it's a light juice with just enough caffeine to get me through my podcast. And it's a lot more aesthetically appealing than having a big old bottle of juice.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, but the next podcast, I'll send you a bottle over and we can, I'll have juice and you can have some wine.
Yeah, it works for me.
Before we get into see if anybody has any questions or comments or anything, for the new people that are getting into real estate one, multifamily two, and then in the general sense of investing, how would you tell them to approach and what thought process to use in the current market that we're in now?
So just kind of getting started in, I mean, it can be kind of hard if you're not already in it to understand the nature. So I mean, some of the things that you can do to kind of prepare your mindset for the market. I mean, obviously you want to have a good understanding through reading books, but really in order to experiment, you need to read current stuff. Whether, there's a bunch of stuff that's put out pockets. A lot of the brokers, the bigger brokerages are putting, because Millichap, CBRE.
If I get one more
JLL.
email from Marcus and Millichap.
What's that?
I said, if I get one more email from Marcus and Millichap, I get like 3 a day, some new
Yeah.
summary or something. It's ridiculous.
There's a lot of relevant current information that you should at least mindset in terms of what's going on in the market. So I would probably start there. Also engage with people that are doing or actively managing and kind of seeing how the rate market change is impacting. There's some folks out there that didn't have a rate cap on a bridge loan and they're having a rough time. Even people that had a rate cap, I mean, obviously that spread feeling from their, whatever's produced from their NOI. And so that is the free cash that the properties, could pay out to you or the investor. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that this thing is impacting you. Even if you have, like I said, a rate cap, there's still impacts on the deals. Or is impacting deals. I mean, obviously, everyone who's trying to get new insurance 6 to 8 months is feeling that pain. And so these are things that real estate already, they might be a surprise to you when you go and look to get into. If you're maybe starting out and you're looking to get a single family home, you may not get impacted as much from